For row-level security, we need to set up the relevant standard mechanisms. The first step is to add, open and go into data security. Then on the side menu, select session property type. For the name input, you can enter anything. There are 3 items you can choose from, which are the value should be a number. This part is a string, so we'll use a string here. In the description field, you can freely add any notes you need to indicate what this is for. Once you've filled everything out here, just submit it. Then in this section you see which ones are currently in use, including which policies are using them for users and what values are set up there after adding them. After that, you can go to the user. Here you can choose whether to help the user or handle administrative tasks to assign this value, and the value you assign here will affect any of the new items we're about to add. Policies and their behaviors when browsing data. So this is where you set it up. So here, just go over, find the user you want to assign or set up, click edit, and then you can add it. If you want to set a value, you can choose set a node, and if you enter it here, it will add this to the user once you've made your selection. After that, there will be a value in session property. First of all, in this part, it's being used. The policy is applied to their data to provide some restrictions. Right, so next we'll add, for the required usage, this policy name can also be freely entered here. What you need to select is the one we see inside here. So these models are using these. The SQL for this will later have session added to it. Customers is the state we just added, which is about the week used in this context. Up here, just add and select the one we just created here. Here you can choose whether you want it to be a required field or or it can be an optional selectable property. If it's optional, then it will be assigned a default value will be entered first, right? So if other users haven't set this value, it will use this default as their value. But if you select require, then you don't need to fill this in, but at the same time, if it's not set, if a user without a value for this property tries to make a query, they'll encounter some errors. So for now, let's use. Now when entering the condition for the policy here, we use at to indicate that this item is a. Then select the property we just entered. This can be written as customers. So it has a value as a user. The value must match the value in the customer field for the data to be shown. So the way this works is they can only see certain data for the states they've been assigned to. Once this part is done, you can come here to do some previews, and you can see that when this value is set to something different, it will show a different behavior. For example, if we do this, then there won't be any data here. Now, let's say we just assign the user the RJ label for this one. Then during the preview, you'll see the customer status RJ data appear. So after confirming this, you can submit, and after that, Semi won't take effect immediately, so we can first check some of its settings, and then this step is the same as before. After adding the new item, we need to go to, then here we need to redeploy. So let's deploy here, and once deployment is done, we can return to the home page and start asking questions to review the settings we just made. For example, we can observe whether the results match the behavior we just set up. After asking a question, you'll notice there's a protected by policies label here. This will show which policies are applied to this SQL and how they affect the data displayed, as well as which ones are being used. For example, after we set the department to RJ, the data that appears will be the programs within RJ, and the data calculated from these programs will comply with the policy settings. Now, regarding the ViewSQL part, in the RAN school we're currently using, there are no items that display the policy. Right, but if it's a regular database, when we look at, you can see that the policy has been applied. Yes, and as for the chart, it's because we display the data based on the results of the query, so it will only show the data from those 3 programs we just saw. It also won't go beyond the policy settings.
Okay.
So up to now, that's an overview of how to add, configure, and see the final results of RLS.